for it to actually start recording. Okay, we're recording. All right. Okay, Dark Bleatings, everyone. I'm here today with one of my favourite indie horror authors, Mark Towse, who has written many horrific and comedic novella and has recently released Chasing the Dragon, which I read this week, Mark.
Oh, what? You're kidding me? I didn't know you were going to read it. That's awesome.
um, I have many, many thoughts on it, but to start,
I'm
if you...
surprised you still want to talk to me, to be honest. But yeah, you know me by now. You've seen a fair bit of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, for those who have not yet had the pleasure of reading Mark's work, you really should. Some of your stuff is like more sort of like straight up horror. My favorite of your works is the stuff that infuses your particular sense of humor, which I always really enjoy. Chasing the Dragon. How to describe Chasing the Dragon? Would you like to describe Chasing the Dragon?
Not really, no. Every time I try and describe it, it changes. The synopsis changes every single time. The short version is it's about a wannabe superhero with more than a few issues. Is trying to escape trauma by ending the chaos. As his mother used to say, his mother was fixated with tidiness, and she didn't like dishes left out. She didn't want people parking outside their house, like things like the sort of pulsating undertones of people's music used to drive her mad. So she was all about ending the chaos. But even when she died, her voice haunted him. And the only way that he can think to end it finally is to go out there, get a cape made by the local chain-smoking seamstress Janice, and take to the streets to pick up dog poo and fight crime. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah.
It reminded me. I had a lot of thoughts as I was reading it. It reminded me a little bit of Super. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
that, but weirder. I would describe your book. With
Yeah,
with
yeah.
with a bit more sort of like underlying like trauma as a theme, and
Yeah.
I was laughing that his first the first crime he tackles is the dog poo thing, and then he's just going around for half the book with dog poo on his arm.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, I think that I think some people sort of like took a little bit of offense to that. They thought it was a little bit icky, but yeah, at the end of the day, I wanted to. This is a gritty town. He's got to start somewhere as well. He's not just going to go and like face off with the big boss, and he's got to start from somewhere. But I think my brand name is weird. My brand name is just weird. Whenever I see a review on Goodreads or Amazon saying this was a unique read, or this was something that's totally out the ballpark, that's what makes me happy. I just want to bring something really different to the table, and it's quite hard to do that in a saturated market. But the main thing for me is, Kaylee, I've got to be having fun. I've got to be
Yeah,
having a laugh behind the keyboard, and I'm hoping that sort of comes through in the writing.
it really does. You have a very particular brand of humor in your writing, which I really enjoy. I was like cackling with glee the second I read It Gets My Goat in this novel because of Nana.
Yeah, yes,
Which
indeed. Yeah, indeed.
this is a novella by Mark. It's the first thing I read of yours, and
First thing I wrote,
is it?
non-fiction. Yeah,
It
it is. Yeah.
That's unfair that your first release is this good. By the way, um, it it's
It's my bestseller though. Nothing has sold as well as that one, crazy enough. But
well.
yeah, I don't know.
It, this sold me on you as a writer. As soon as I read this, I was like, right, that's it. Everything that you release, I now read. I think I've read almost all of your work now.
I think you have.
There are several reviews pending for things that haven't gone live on the website yet, but are there. Nana is... How did I describe this before?
God knows. God knows.
Not all old folk are boring. Nana and her friends enjoy some unusual activities.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some crazy old bastards in that book for sure. Yeah, but again, that was fun to write. It was a bit of a gamble, but it's weird. It's off the wall, and I had no direction when I first started writing it. It all stemmed from an interaction my son had when he was doing his first paper round with a neighbor that came out to greet him, and just the alienation between the two was just hysterical. It was like watching two completely alien species interact for the first time, and I knew there was something in that. I knew there was a story in there somewhere. And I just sat down and I started writing about a boy on his paper round, meeting these neighbors. And before I knew it, we were introduced to Nana, and all sorts of shenanigans took place thereon. And lots of cherry pie was consumed. Yeah, and you know the rest. Yeah.
It's a really great story that I've been telling everyone to read it, but I try not to tell them anything about it, because you wouldn't want to spoil anything in this book, because
Yeah.
it's so funny with every revelation, even though it's like really horrific. But I was, yeah, right up my street humor wise, as was the bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another
Crazy old
thing,
people.
you can't go wrong, Mark, it seems, with putting old people in. um it's oh yeah, that the bucket list is about three pairs of people that are they find this nice B&B one night when it's a horrible storm raging outside, and it's hosted by an elderly couple, and we'll
Marge and
say no.
Albie. Yeah. Well, you'll never forget Marge and Albie once you've met them. My goodness me. Albie and his foot fetish, and Marge and wow. Yeah. But
Yep.
I wrote that with Chisto Healy. And that was a really fun book to read, actually. That was a fun time. We just came up with the idea of the bucket list, and where could we take it? I don't know. It's one of those stories that just wrote itself, and we sort of tag teams, and we just had so much fun with it. And
Yeah,
yeah,
you guys like blended your writing styles together really well, because I couldn't tell like where one of you started and the other one ended. You know what I mean? It was really seamless. Um, I think both of these books, and also in Chasing the Dragon, you got a knack for um, characters that are just unfortunate. Like things keep happening to them, and they try to do something and something else happens. And
yeah,
for some reason, that I think maybe because it's so relatable. Um,
yeah. Exactly. It is, and like a lot of my short stories, the majority of my short stories are about this protagonist going about their day, and all of a sudden, you know, something happens to them, and I just love that. Taking them on that journey,
mhm.
watching them transform as I take them through the ringer, and how they come out the end of it. So
Yeah,
that for me is really interesting. It's not just about the plot, but it's about the journey the character goes on and the changes that take place. That's a big part of it, and that sort of extends into my longer fiction as well. I just nothing gives me greater pleasure than having a guilty giggle behind the keyboard. That's what it's all about. And I know it's sort of horror comedy is hit or miss for a lot of people, but I firmly believe that the sort of the highs and lows, that the troughs and peaks become even greater, in the way that you can switch from horror to comedy and rip the floor away, and people all of a sudden are giggling but feeling guilty for doing so.
yeah.
That to me is great. I love it. I love the thought of it.
One of my favorite bits in Chasing the Dragon was when when he sees two women and they litter. So he's chasing them, trying to get them to pick their rubbish up. But obviously, they're two women pursued by a man in a leotard, everyone keeps saying. So they run. And and then one of them says like he that they broke their shoe, and they're really angry about the cost of this shoe, and he ends up getting kicked in the balls.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a sort of a situation that he envisaged in his head as being innocent. Like he was committed to the cause. He wanted them to put the litter in the trash can. He was prepared to do whatever it took, without realizing the implications of him dressed in a sort of a skin tight leotard chasing two women down the street. He had no recollection of that. He was just focused on his mission. That was what was important to him. And all of a sudden, just to watch the situation turn around where they're lining up to give him a kick in the bollocks, it's just like, I don't know. I just that for me is just one of the highlights of the story. I just had so much fun, and I was laughing when I was writing it, which is not sort of egotistical anyway. But it's just a fun time, and just watching that this guy, he's trying to win the coast, he's trying to do everything in his power, just taking a swift one on the bollocks, and just all his hopes, all his dreams, just suddenly begin to feel very out of reach as he goes to ground. Yeah, his stomach in his mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that character to me was a cross between Butters from South Park and a guy that I know in real life called Gareth, who I've seen very often go out of his way to try and do nice things, and he has it thrown back in his face. We were
Yeah.
on a bus one time, and there were two old women sat in front of us just chatting away, and then at a stop, a woman with a pram was trying to get on, and she was struggling, so he just got up and helped her lift the pram on, came and sat back down, and then the one of the women in front of us just turned to her friend and went, "Well, I'm surprised you didn't mug her."
Oh wow. Really? Oh jeez. Okay.
I
That's
was,
what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. You do a good thing, and it's like, yeah. I don't know.
he was so offended, and he was like, "Excuse me, why would you say something like that?" And she just like bold as brass. She didn't care that she'd offended him or what. She just went, "Well, young
Wow.
people these days have no respect." And I was like,
And that's why I love writing about old people, man. That they're so unpredictable. Honestly, they are. They really are. It's like, I mean, I always sort of envisage, like, you see someone walking down the street, you just assume with their watery peepers and their jowls that they're just innocent, that they've lived an innocent life. But you don't know that. You don't know their history. You don't know the skeletons in their closet, and that's what I find fascinating. Not all are innocent. That's impossible. Some people out there have done some bad things, hiding bad things, and I just like to try and sort of like claw that out, and yeah, just exaggerate that to the nth degree.
it was, yeah, it's really I really liked Nana and her friends. I was like, they seem like a fun group. And then Marge and Albie, with each escalation in this book, I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do next. I can't possibly foresee where this is gonna go. Um, I think if there is a stereotypical characteristic of the elderly that I really enjoy, and I don't mean to tarnish all old people with the same brush, but
Mm,
like everyone else, you've got nice people and not so nice people. And I think that a thing that people say about like as you age is like you just stop giving a shit. So
yeah,
like you'll just say your
yeah,
opinion now and everything. And I
yeah,
think that that's where it is. If you get the people that are a bit shady, once they hit a certain age, they're like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, to be honest with you, I've started to approach that age bracket now. But
Yeah.
I don't worry about what people think anymore. I think I was probably like 40, it started to kick in a little bit, but now I'm 50, it's like, okay, yeah, I really, really, yeah, don't really give a crap. So it's kind of freeing in a way. It's kind of, but imagine when I get to 60, when I get to 70, what I'm going to be like. But there you go, it's nuts. Yeah.
I still have some guilt, but I'm a few years off 40, and I I've hit the point now, when people are like, oh, shall we go out? And I think, oh no, I don't want to. And before I'd make up an excuse so as not to hurt people's feelings. Then I'm like, oh no, but have a good time. And if people are like, why aren't you coming? I can't help it though. Sometimes I just go, oh, I just don't want to.
Yeah. That's fair. Oh, that's it. You stop living your life to please others. And that is so freeing, isn't it? I love that.
It's not.
You don't have to answer to anyone. It's like you're responsible for your own actions and whatnot. So once you realize that,
I just think life is short and I have very little free time. And I love my
yeah,
friends, but I don't drink. And usually the thing that people want to do is go out for a drink.
drink.
And
Yeah.
I used to
Yeah.
go out anyway, but the problem if you don't drink is that no one will accept that you don't drink. So
Yeah, it's
I
true. It's true.
spend the night being bullied into like people trying to get, even if I've driven, if I'm like, I drove here, and they're like, oh, just have one. And I'm like, why? Just and I
Yeah.
think that people who do other recreational drugs, I have honestly never had someone be like, go on, just do one line.
Yeah, just one needle. Come
It's
on,
just
just do it. It'll be all right. Yeah, just come on, don't be spot.
It's just alcohol for some reason that people get very insistent on it, and I'm
Yeah,
like, look,
it's
I
just yeah, like especially in Britain. I think in Britain it's like a huge drinking culture in Great Britain. It's like it's massive, but you know, because it's. I mean, what else do you do on a night time when it gets cold? It's like there's the general inclination to go to a pub, find a darkened booth somewhere, and just drink yourself to death every night.
yeah,
That's what generally happens in the UK. But
yeah, or like go out with a bunch of people and get like wild drunk with
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
no one's in control of their faculties. Um,
yeah.
I just get, I have discovered in the last few years that what my biggest migraine trigger is alcohol. So even if I only have one, I start getting a migraine as I'm drinking it. So it's just not worth it to me.
That's a great deterrent. That's a
Yeah,
great deterrent. Yeah, like I mean, it's awful when you wake up the next day and you're trying to piece the evening's activities together, and slowly it sort of feeds through, and is the horrors sort of like, and it's not a nice way to. It's not a nice way to. I drink much less than I used to. Like I still like to drink every now and again because it sounds weak, but sometimes, like after being in control of everything all day, every day, sometimes you just want to, I don't know, just let loose a little bit. I think that's my, you know what I mean? It's like, because every minute of every day is accounted for, my job, my family, my writing. And then sometimes you just say, right, okay, I just want to escape that sort of, that timetable, that, you know, that
yeah,
chaos, shall we say.
yes,
Um, but yeah, it's not a long-term solution. It's just, yeah, it makes you feel like shit. It makes you bloody fat as well. I'm trying to cut down, so I'm going for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning. At least I've got it written down and go for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning. But it just piles on the weight. There's like, there's no nutritional value there at all. It just piles on the weight. So yeah,
yeah.
it's not good. It's not good. Yeah.
So that's actually leads me to segue into this. So, in terms of like escapism and things you enjoy, does writing feel like work to you, even though it's like something that you love doing? Oh dear.
No, there are days when it does. There are days when it does.
Mhm,
Yeah. And there are days when it just feels like the most joyous thing in the world. You know,
mhm,
it really varies. I mean, I think a lot of it is connected to um, so you know, your mood. I think
mhm,
it's very dictated by how are you feeling on the day. If you're feeling positive about your writing, if good things are happening, if nothing's are happening, if nothing is happening, if your books aren't selling, then it's sometimes hard to claw yourself out of that pit and get the motivation to carry on writing.
mhm.
Um, it's challenging at times, but you know, generally when I'm in the zone, I'm just having such a good time. You know, I blink and 9, 10 hours are gone, and I'd wake up from this coma, and you know, like getting drunk the night before. It's like it all starts, you know, coming together. But when you're in the zone, time just goes. It's you know, you're
Yeah.
just so immersed in the environment, the smells, the sounds, the dialogue with the characters. It's just yeah, I love it. I think it's the best therapy ever, to be honest with you. Much better than
Mhm.
booze. Um, but look, you know, that said, there are days when you get to the desk and you think, oh God, this is going to be a slog. I'm not feeling it. What am I doing this for? What's the point? You know, no fuck is reading my work. Why am I here writing these stupid words? So it varies dramatically. It really does. I think that's the same for um, most authors trying to break through. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a very hard um when you're in early days, I would imagine as well. I see a lot of people ask full-time writers what their sort of writing routine is because people on YouTube like to do that thing where like, oh, writing like Stephen King for a week and they'll like try and adopt his routine. And I
Yeah.
just think what I try and stay away from that kind of thinking because I'm like, I have a full-time job that I'm trying like if it was my full-time job,
Yeah.
I'd be able to go out for a two walk every morning and mull over
Yeah.
my thoughts and
Exactly.
like you don't have the luxury of that much time.
Exactly. You don't have any weight on your shoulders. You don't feel that sort of anxiety because
Mhm.
knowing that everything else you have to do throughout the course of the week is like it's a
Yeah.
different lifestyle. I mean, I took a week off and spent it in a cabin just in the middle of the woods, and that was just glorious. That was just there's just writing, just me in the woods, the birds, like just writing, and it was just like it was dangerously um, amazing. Honestly, I
Yeah.
could have, there was a temptation just to sort of like, just to try and hide somewhere and never come back to reality. But that was a really good taste of what it potentially could be like, in terms of the idealization, the romanticization that people have with
Mhm.
the author life. But in reality, it's not like that. You got bills to pay, you got a family to bring up. So it's squeezing it in between all of that. That is the
Yeah.
challenge, the biggest challenge. In addition to marketing, they're the two biggest challenges, I reckon.
Oh yeah, could we talk a bit about marketing? Because when
If we
you're
have to.
just a little bit, because most indie writers I know, like myself, the marketing side is not the fun side. I can talk all day about other people's books, and I've got no problem posting about other people's books and recommending them to everyone. But when it comes to my own stuff, I just feel very like, sorry, sorry for spamming you.
Yeah, I still feel the same way even after all this time, but you just got to get over that, to be honest with you. It's I value the work I put out. I fully back it. Um, Maybe not so much in the early days, but I've been writing prolifically for 6 years. I mean, I cringe at some of my early stuff, but I think the work I'm putting out now is of a decent level. So I back it. I'm not afraid to get out there and promote it. Not that it works, but I'll still keep talking about it.
It will.
Let's see.
It will just keep. I wholeheartedly think that you have a long, like, writing career, that you're like right at the
Yeah,
start of, Mark, because your work is consistently like really good in my opinion, and you're one of those writers where the second I read Nana, I was like, yay, because I really love it when I find a new author whose style I love, who's like books I
yeah.
can look forward to when they come out, because I don't have that many on that list where I'm like waiting for the next release and I'm excited. Um, just a few. I would like Tim Lebbon, Stephen King, Adam Neville,
Yeah,
you, Gemma Moore, Kit Power. There are more, but not
yeah,
not many like in that bracket.
yeah,
So yeah, it's I think if you just keep just keep chipping away at it, um,
yeah.
or
But by the time I'm 80, I might, I
yes,
might get there. Yeah,
unless
just on
you
my deathbed, like I'll get a best-selling book or something. Yeah.
or you could write something that is really offensive to someone on TikTok, and then they'll make a hate video about it, and then the next thing you know, all your sales have taken off.
Well, that's it. I have sort of flirted with the idea of doing some extreme horror, or something like that, just for that purpose. But it's just not me. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I know that there's a market for it, and there are some authors that are really good at that, but it's just not something that I would enjoy writing. And it's got to feel, it's got to be feel good for me. I've got to sort of, I don't know. It sounds horrible. I've got to really. There's a lot of integrity involved in what I put out. So I
Mhm.
just want to protect that in a way. I'm not saying extreme horror doesn't have that, but just
Yeah,
just for my own purpose, it's what I feel most comfortable writing. This is my comfort zone. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. So, like, if you weren't sort of like authentically writing an extreme horror book because that was
yeah,
like
it
what
would
you
feel
wanted.
like I was doing it, in a sort of unnatural or like artificial manner. Whereas,
Yeah,
that it's not my normal suit. So just to go out there and do it for the sake of it, just to try and get some hits, it just doesn't feel like something that I'd feel comfortable doing. Yeah.
yeah. I've read some really gross extreme horror in the last few months. It's not for
Yeah.
me as a genre, but I'll give it a go. You know.
But look, there are people that love it. They really, and I can see the attraction. Why? I guess, when I was younger, there was you were attracted to the taboo things. It was as simple as that. I remember seeing American Psycho, the book, Bret Easton Ellis, like wrapped in cling film, and that for me was like, oh, I've got to go and read that. It's a must have. Why is it protected? Why is it shielded in this way? So I think it's just that instinctive way of like, I don't know, this as yeah, you know what I mean? It's like exploring and maybe testing your own limits. But some people seem to love it, and maybe it's a way of that's their therapy, way of dealing with their trauma.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just not something that I mean, Nana was probably as close to it as I could get.
Hmm.
Some of that was quite, well, I'd say body horror. Some of
Yeah.
that was quite, borderline in parts. But hopefully, I think that sort of tongue-in-cheek humor helped me get through to the end on that one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because there are parts of it that are quite like they were almost hitting my gross out limit, but it
Yeah,
was so funny.
absolutely.
It was
Yeah.
really funny, so I like didn't want to stop reading it.
I
Uh,
think it took many people to the edge. I think it took a few over.
yeah.
Um, but I think it was sort of mixing, the old people with children at times. So that kind of thing
Mhm.
was like a little bit too much for them to fathom. So there was that. And look, again, I was worried that because Inanna is very British humor. There's no denying that. And
Mhm.
most of what I write is very British humor. My influences were when I was growing up, Only Fools and Horses, Rising Downpour, that kind of jazz. So I'm heavily influenced by British humor. So I always worry, how are the Americans going to react to that?
Mhm.
But most of them got Nana. I mean, that seemed to work out pretty well. Most of them seem to be, my humor seems to be landing pretty well so far. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a greater awareness now with streaming of British humor. And I think maybe that's opened a few doors.
Yeah, um, I think I think as well as it's your writing style as well. So I'm a British person, so I get British humor, but
Yeah,
I enjoy every sort of British book I come across. So I think it's your writing style as well. It's like how you get all of this stuff across. Um,
possibly. Yeah. There's probably a
like,
few phrases that they come across and think, what the bloody hell does that mean? What is he
yeah,
on about?
I have
Yeah.
some American friends, and every now and then I'll get a message like, "What does this mean?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's funny explaining it as well.
sometimes I'm like, "Oh, that's just this," and then other times I'm like, "I have no idea. Who said that
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a Britishism.
Yeah.
Just
But
something."
there's that thought in your mind, oh, should I Americanize this? Should I change it to American English? All those kind of things you consider, but at
Mm.
the end, you just think, nah, I'm British. That's who I am, So it's like it or lump it.
Yeah, and it's a key part of your sort of your style and
Yeah, it's authentic. That's right. It is. You're
yeah,
right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I
Yeah, like as you know, like because your book retains a lot of British humor in there, and that's what I enjoyed about it. I really like that. But as you know, the more you try to tick boxes, the more
Mhm.
rigid your work becomes. So I don't want any of that to be in the back of my mind when I'm free flowing, when I'm writing. I just want to write free and just have a good time with it. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that comes across as a reader though. Like I can tell that you've had a great time writing these
yeah,
books. It's a nice extra element of your work. Um, I think it's because I don't know, reading something that feels like it was a slog for the writer wouldn't be very fun.
yeah. I know. Look, short stories, I can keep them very, very serious. That's fine. When I'm writing longer fiction, though, I have to mix some lighting with the dark. Otherwise, it just weighs too heavy on me.
Hmm.
That's a major thing for me. As soon as I feel like I'm wallowing too much in the darkness, I throw a fucking stupid little pun in there, or something like that, just to try and bring me out again. But it's yeah, it's just my branding. That's just the way I roll. Oh God, that sounds cheesy, the way I roll, but you know what I mean. Anyway, but Chasing the Dragon was probably the most fun I've had with a character. It's the most laughs I've had behind the keyboard. The setups, the scenes. I just loved it. I really did. And that the important thing for me was to I've mentioned this before, but not for him to sort of turn into this sort of superhero character and lose who he is, sort of adapt this two-dimensional persona moving forward. I wanted him to be struggling all the way through the book. I wanted his trauma to follow him all the way through. That was really, really important to me. Um,
Yeah.
and it was the only way that I think characters or readers, sorry, could relate to him. If I gave a backstory at the front, like a story dump, and then moved on to all the charades, then people wouldn't buy into it. They want to relate to the character. They want to feel his pain. Um, And yeah, there's a few twists and turns in this one that I think are quite rewarding. So yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I don't want to allude to anything because I sometimes
Yeah.
accidentally spoil stuff, so I'm not going to say anything. um,
Just keep
so,
stum. It's really difficult to talk about the ending without giving it away. It's almost impossible, really. But
yeah,
yeah.
so don't, it's really good though, but just don't say anything. Um, I like how you told the story where we were sort of yeah, it not like a dual narrative or anything, but well, but yeah, you had sort of his past was very much like in the present, and then you'd have these really sort of like jarring, heavy moments, but then they would be followed up with someone going, "Why are you in a leotard?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'd like,
I know.
it was so just when you'd start thinking, oh no, this guy, and then someone would
Yeah.
react to him the way that a normal person would react if they saw someone come
Yeah.
around the corner in a cape. So, so
Yeah. It,
yeah, it
that
was
it was super important for me to maintain that grittiness throughout the story, really.
yeah, yeah. Everyone felt really real, like the way everyone reacted to him. It got me every time. Every time someone new saw him, because you'd be with someone
Yeah.
for a while, and then they get used to it, and then you'd like, so I'd forget how ridiculous he probably looks, and then you move on
Yeah.
to the next person, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah. So some of the early interactions were the funniest bits to write. Chapter 1, I hate Jesus. I just like it's a
yeah,
quite controversial way of starting the book, but it's very tongue in cheek. No offense to anyone. It was not, it's very tongue in cheek. But just the way that he was expecting everyone to back him, like to get on board. You know what I mean? And sort of like become his instant fan club. Or someone's here to end the chaos, and he stood there like wearing a really shitty leotard, just carrying a poop bag. It's like, I don't know, what is that man thinking? What is he hoping to do, really? But look, I think he won some fans at the end of it. I think he won some people around, and hopefully by the time the reader's finished, he'll win the read around as well. And yeah, but I've thoroughly enjoyed writing that. This is my favorite book to date in terms of the journey, and I'd love to write a sequel. So I'm hoping it flies for that reason, for sure.
yeah, yes. Well, I got my fingers crossed for you for that. That more people like find it because it's a really fun read.
It's a hard one to sell. It's very difficult to sell, actually. I think this is one of the reasons I'm sort of struggling. In the fact that it is multi-genre. It's out of the ballpark from my normal horror zone. So it is a combination of thriller, drama, trauma, romance, even. There's a bit of
Yeah,
everything in there. Combined with the twisted comedy. But so people that have read my previous work, all horror buffs, look at it multi-genre, look at this superhero on the cover, and they're thinking, "Oh, okay, I'm not too sure about this." But so it's just convincing people to take the leap of faith, and those that have like had a really bloody good time with it. It's on Goodreads. I think it's got about 64 reviews, and I think 56 of those are 5 stars. So I know people are having a good time when they pick it up. It's just convincing people to give them a try and to fall in love with Reformo.
yeah, for Reformo.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Even the names and the sort of the transitions to Reformo, I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed the adjustments to his suit. The lack of mouth hole in the first version, and
Yeah,
where else do you want holes, love? All that kind of jazz. That it was the upgrades and whatnot. It was just a blast. It really was.
yeah, it would. Yeah, the lack of mouth hole got me. She's like, "Well, you didn't ask for one."
I know. Yeah. Fair call, though. Less, you know what I mean? It's like goodness knows what she thought, he was up to. Late night parties, swinging parties, and all sorts. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I think if somebody asked me to make some sort of spandexy outfit with a cape, I would have questions. Maybe that I wouldn't
Questions
ask.
would be asked. Yeah, questions would be asked. Yeah, and there's Alf calling from the back room. Is that weirdo gone yet? Like, but it's just real. It's just raw. And I grew up in Hull. That was my hometown. So it had its when I back in my day, it had its drug problem, its drinking problem. So I just reinvented the streets of Hull back from yesteryear when writing this, and
Mhm.
the grittiness just came back to me. The smells, fish and death in the air and all that kind of jazz. I mean, it's improved a lot, I hear. So I'm not knocking it now. It has improved a lot since I've gone. I know the two aren't related. I don't think. Maybe they are. I don't know. But it was fun just to write about it. It was just the grittiness, the rats and the litter and all that kind of jazz, and just
Mhm.
yeah. Hopefully the environment sort of came off the pages as well, and yeah, nothing about this is glamorous. This is not your average Hollywood superhero. This is a guy just trying to escape trauma.
Mhm.
That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Just a guy trying to escape trauma.
I did. I could very much see this town, these houses and streets and everything. It did. It was very familiar to me. The town I live in Wales is. I just watched it over. It's a really small town, but it used to be
Yeah,
quite busy. But I've watched it over the years, just like it's. If you walk through it on a Saturday night now, there's no one anyway.
really.
Where is everybody? Yeah.
What
I
is
don't
that? Is that from fear or
no, I don't I
no?
don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just watched it's one of those ones where like gradually, we only our main town is basically just one street with shops and stuff either side, but I've watched all of those shops close down over the years, so
Okay,
like hardly anything's out. Mostly what has survived is takeaways and pubs.
of
But
course.
you'd never know that though because of the lack of people in the takeaways and pubs.
Oh
So
wow. Okay,
it's
there
it's
you
just
go.
really yeah. If ever someone's like, oh well, I'll come visit you where you live. I'm like, no, I'll come to you.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
nowhere for me to take you around here. There's nothing for me to show you. It is pretty though because I live in the valleys, so we're
The
surrounded by
rolling hills. Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
pretty. But yes, just quite dead. I don't know where they've all gone. They've probably all gone off with Nana. That's what's happened.
Maybe she's picking them off one by one. No, but my old town, Hull, I think it got voted the worst place to live in England 2 years running, and they made a little book about it, a little leaflet about it, and on the front of it was just the word Hull, and it had like a red telephone box with a human turd in the corner. So that was, I know it, but it has significantly improved, I hear. So I shouldn't keep dissing it. But look around the area, like York was beautiful. I lived in York for 3 years. That was awesome. And I miss England a lot. There are places, parts of England that I really miss. Just not Hull. No, I'm joking. Hull's cool.
I've never been to Hull, but I got married last year, and we went in the meantime, waiting to go on our bigger honeymoon. We went on a mini moon just for a weekend, and we went to North Wales, but we drove through the Shropshire countryside to get there, and it
Okay.
was so beautiful. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe my eyes, and then we went past a sign that told us it was an area of outstanding natural beauty, and I was like, it is.
Oh wow.
It really
There
is.
you
It
go.
was, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. There's one thing you notice is when you first get to Australia, there's one thing you notice the sky just seems so vast. It just seems massive. That's one big thing, and it's warm and it's lovely. And there are so many nice things about Australia. But when you go back to England, you see the lushness, the
Mhm.
how green everything is. That for me is it sort of fills me with nostalgia.
Yes.
Everything smells different. It feels different. It feels cozier. People seem just a little bit friendlier. So yeah, I mean, it's pros and cons really. It is, but yeah, I do. I mean, we've been here 16 years now, but I do still miss England quite a lot.
Do you know, my husband said that about the sky in Australia because he's been to Australia and he said
Yeah,
it recently. He's like, I can't explain to you what I mean, but the sky in Australia feels bigger than it does
yeah.
in
Well, the
UK.
lack the lack of clouds could be partly
Yeah.
for, that reason, but yeah, it's not crowded in the sky. Generally, I mean, the summers are amazing. When we arrived, we had 5 degrees of like 40 plus degree heat. It was just this is crazy. Yeah, it's just a completely different world. But you know, um, But now, like that was in my younger days, we go drinking and like it was great. And then now I'm getting older, it's like, oh, bring on winter. And
Yeah.
especially as I'm writing now, when it's sunny, I feel guilty outside when I'm behind the keyboard. So I long for stormy days and that kind of stuff, just so I can get busy.
Yeah, that's my favorite weather as well. I prefer the
Yeah,
dark months. When I
yeah,
see
me too now.
yeah, when I see the shorter days rolling in, I'm like, oh goody. And then
Yeah.
when it starts going back to the days getting longer, I get, that's when I get seasonal depression, really, is when it's nice and sunny and the days are long.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of a long summer, and I'm positively gleeful about it, to be honest with you. I sound like a right miserable bastard when I say that, but yeah, autumn is lovely here. It's just it's a nice sort of 18, 20 degrees. It's a really nice temperature. Like sometimes you just get over it being warm all the time. And so woe is me, but you do, and it's like, yeah, autumn is lovely when you got a bit of a cooler breeze coming through, and like I
Mhm.
say, like the leaves are falling off the trees, and I'm sat there writing, and it's just a different environment.
Yes, very nice writerly atmosphere that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, not scorching. Yeah,
Right, I have some random questions for you, Mark.
yeah.
Um, I thought, now I want you to know that I thought really carefully about these questions, and they're all
Okay.
really important, and
Are they?
your
Okay.
character will be judged depending
Okay.
on
Right.
the answer. Okay,
Okay.
so your favorite horror novel?
I'm gonna have to say The Talisman.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I read it. I read it when I was very young. Probably grasped most of it, and it blew me away. It was the first book that really fully transported me into a different world.
Mhm,
And I subsequently read it probably about 15, 20 years later. And it took me back to the first time it made me feel like a child again. Like
mhm,
just filled me with so much awe and wonder. Um, so yeah, just for a book to do that, like, when you've sort of lost some of that innocence, but to
mhm.
take you back, to transport you to that vulnerability, where you looked at the stars and the moon with such wonder. That was yeah, that's powerful. So The Talisman, yeah, Stephen King, Peter Straub, I just thought it was amazing. The Black House was really cool too, but that was the one that really sucker punched me.
Cool. I actually preferred Black House, which I know is the
Okay.
unpopular opinion, but
Yeah.
I I I do prefer his like more horror type stuff. Like there was like a lot of fantasy
Yeah.
in the Talisman. And
Yeah.
also I think the Talisman got oversold to me a little bit because
Fair
everyone
enough.
everyone was going, read the Talisman, you'll love the Talisman, and I don't know why everyone thought that particular book was going to be so up my street. So I went in with like really high
Yeah.
expectations, and I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
disappointed. But yeah, I like his sort of nastier works, so that's just my preference.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It was
That's maybe that says something about your character, Keely. I don't
I
know.
think it might. I was like,
No, I do like a lot of that stuff as well, but I don't know what like I said, I can't explain it to this day, but there are books that people would like push in my face and recommend and just don't sit well. But that one just took me by surprise. It really did.
it
Yeah.
is like a quest story. So there's a lot of adventure in it.
I think it appealed to the adventure in me because I love strapping a backpack to my back and going for a hike and not knowing where I'm going. I think it appealed to that aspect of my personality as well. But yeah, it just made me feel like a kid. And anything that can do that, once you've you know left that part of you behind is has to be praised. I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
like that to reignite your sort of
absolutely.
yeah, childish excitement and wonderment. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
like
mean, we're all kids. It's just sometimes it's sort of locked now behind a number of doors. Like, and we've got to find the keys to try and unlock that. One of my greatest missions in life is to just laugh. Like you did as a school child in the playground, where you're just uncontrollable. Your body's quivering,
mhm.
water streaming from your eyes, just to try and I don't know, because you don't. It's so finite the number of times that happens. But I'm always trying to find out ways of doing that or making people do that. Yeah, laughter is such an important part of my life for sure. My sense of humor is like what's got me through so much shit, and yeah, and it's what sort of is a strong bond between myself and my daughter. Sense of humor is like it's our go-to. That's our thing. That's our connection. This is huge. It's a huge part of my life.
My brother and I are like that. We're very close, and we have what some might call a dark sense of humor between us. And
Yeah,
sometimes he just like looks at me, and I know that he's thought the exact crap,
yeah,
probably horrible thing that I've thought about whatever's going
yeah,
on. Because
yeah.
yeah, I can't
It's
possibly.
there's little like those little glances, those little exchanges. Yeah, it's the same with my daughter. It's like it's just yeah, it's
We
great.
we both deal with like harder things with quite dark humor, so I cannot ever sit next to him at a family funeral or anything because I know
Yeah,
that I'm the worst at funerals. I'm inappropriate because my impulse is to try and cheer people up, and
yeah.
most people don't want you to start cracking jokes.
Well, no, I think some people take it as lack of empathy, but it's so not. That it's just like a defense. It's like a shield that goes up. It's our way. It's our coping mechanism. It's like,
Yeah.
and people often accuse me of having no empathy, but I think even in our darkest times, like we've got to hang on to that sense of humor because it's like, what's the alternative? But cracking jokes at funerals, I don't know about that, but you've got to. It's so important. It is so important, and it's something that's got me through so much, and it's why I write with humor,
Mhm.
threading everything. For that reason. But
Yeah, as but yeah, so every now and then you meet someone who's humorless, and I'm so perplexed.
mm,
Like, why?
yeah.
What do you laugh at? Because everyone surely, but yeah,
But I
no,
don't believe them. I don't believe them. I don't trust anyone that hasn't got a sense of humor. I don't trust them as being valid. I don't trust them as real people. I swear to God, I don't.
always
All I want to do when I meet someone like that is just rip their mask off and just dig and find out what really makes them tick. Because there's a reason they're so like they're covered in so many. Yeah, I don't know. No, I just don't trust people that have a sense of humor. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't have people in my life that don't have a sense of humor. I never would. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
makes me awkward because when I first meet people as well, if I'm feeling a bit shy, I'll crack a joke. And admittedly, it's
yeah,
not
me too.
a funny joke, but if you don't even get like a hint of a smile where someone's appreciated that you
Yeah,
tried, and they just like stone faced, I'm like,
yeah.
well, now
Well,
I'm.
I'm not diagnosed, but my wife is like 100% certain I'm on the spectrum. She is because I will just say I have no filter and I'll say daft things, especially on first meeting, on first interaction. I'll just say something, and she'll just shrink away. But I don't care. Like I said, I'm at that stage now. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Honestly, I don't. I mentioned this before. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be. I don't want to be that superficial person. I don't want to come across as a droid. I just if I say something, some people say, "What do you say that for?" It's embarrassing, but I just think, oh well, that person might not think the same. They might remember it later on. It might give them a giggle or something like that. So I don't care. Honestly, I just don't care. But yeah, people without a sense of humor don't even bother. Not interested.
No, I find it very. I get more uncomfortable, and then I start trying to crack more jokes that don't land, and it's just a bad time for everyone then.
It's a tough crowd. It's a tough crowd. Yeah.
All right, next question, and this is more important than the last.
Yeah.
Tea or coffee? You have to pick one.
Coffee, 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 all the way, all the way. To be honest with you, generally throughout the course of the day, I'll drink 10 coffees and about 8 teas. So coffee's just winning by two.
But you're British.
Yeah, I know, but I still drink 8 cups of tea a day. Don't get me wrong, that's still a
Yeah,
lot of bloody tea, isn't it? But I also
an
add
average
10
amount.
coffees to that as well.
An average amount of tea. Um,
Yeah, I know, I know. I need to stop drinking caffeine after 12 because I'm an insomniac as well. So it's just a vicious cycle. I just can't. Yeah, but I know. I do love coffee. I do.
it is. I love the smell of coffee more than the taste of coffee.
Do
But
you? Okay.
yeah,
And you've tried all sorts of coffee, I imagine, as well.
well, I'm branching out because I drank more coffee when I was on holiday recently because I had an iced coffee for the first ever time and that was delicious.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm trying to expand my coffee horizons right now.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Goats or sheep?
It's got to be goats.
Yeah. All right.
Gets my
Goats or
goat
horses?
every time. Got to be.
Okay. Right. Do you know what this is?
Is that from Monsters Inc?
Nope.
No, then.
Okay, we're moving on.
Um,
Um,
okay. Was that just okay?
I'm going to ask everybody I interview that from now on.
All right.
Just wait until
Okay. Do
someone
you get
knows.
a prize if you get it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
For anyone who
yeah.
looks
But people once they've seen this, will go away and do their research. They'll know what it is.
it's
Yeah.
it's a weirdness from my childhood. Um, what 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 is the worst TV show finale?
The worst TV show finale.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me. I don't know. I have no idea. Um, like just the crappiest, or the one that left me feeling really like bad, or
Just what or like yeah, like the worst, like the writing dived and you were angry at it or something. You're just really disappointed by an ending.
disappointed in the writer.
Yeah.
Disappointed. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't watch many series, actually, to be honest with you, because I get so frustrated when I get to the end of the first one and I find there's another one being made. I can't. I love those that just do a start and finish in 8 episodes. They're so rare, but I love those.
Yeah, like a nice
Uh,
limited series.
yeah, the only exception apart from that is probably Mindhunter. I'm glad there's a third season coming out because that's a cool show. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a really weird question. That's a really hard question. I'm sorry. I've
It's
got no
quite
idea.
I I'm a big
I'm gonna have to
fan
come
of
back to you.
well, yeah, let me when you think of one, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of all of the Mike Flanagan shows.
Okay.
I really enjoyed like Midnight Mass and The Haunting
Yeah.
of Hill House. And when I heard, oh, they're making a second Haunting of Hill House, I was like, oh no. But then it wasn't Hill House, so I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
they've left it. But
Yeah.
there is an art to just writing a complete story and then moving on and leaving it alone in its
There are.
complete
Yeah.
story.
There are many series when you know the writers have changed. You can sense it. You can feel it. Where it's sort of subpar. You can see that, and it doesn't feel as real.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but like I say, it's like for me to get to the end of a series, it has to be super good. It really does, because like I said, my every minute of every day is accounted for. So
Yeah.
I don't binge watch a lot of TV. I really don't. Even movies nowadays, I hate to say, it's not like the old day of Blockbuster where you go and get a VHS tape and you've got to watch it like in a lumpet.
Yeah.
Now there's like, if I get 20 minutes in and I don't like a movie, I'll just give up on it, because
Mhm.
I don't know, my attention span is not where it used to be. And I'd much rather, it sounds awful, I'd much rather be in my own magic world, like creating, rather than just being like,
Mhm.
in someone else's world. But yeah.
I'm a bit grumpy about films and TV now because I hardly ever like anything anymore.
I know, me too. What is that about?
I don't know. I think maybe the thing with TV that a lot of people don't know is that the writers get blamed for a lot of stuff that is absolutely not their fault.
Hmm.
I know so when like people pitch a show, they've probably been working on that first season for like 6 years, and then they've got 5 months to write season two,
Yeah.
or they'll take the script and then not keep the writers on while they're filming a thing, and then changes have to be made and they don't have the writing staff there. So
True.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it must
Yeah.
be frustrating if you are a screenwriter and you watch something that you wrote and it's been hacked to
Yeah.
bits, and then everyone's
Yeah.
like, "What are the writers doing?" Like,
It's true. And it must change the game when you're writing with a deadline. I've never had that before, but it must change the game a little bit.
yeah,
The sort of the pressure, justified or not, like you put on your shoulders thinking, oh, I have to get this done. Whereas like, writing a novel, generally
yeah.
there's no real pressure. You just do it when you feel it.
And so
So
like
that would definitely add something.
Also, like production interference as well. Because
Exactly.
if you write
Yeah,
TV, you
exactly.
don't just have free reign, do you? You like
No.
it depends. It's probably why everyone wanted to write for HBO Max. If you're someone who wants to write like violent scenes and stuff, that's the
Yeah.
network.
No limits. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, but like I say, the less boxes there are for me to tick, the better. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I just want to have fun. Yeah.
Right. This is another writer preference question. Stephen King
Yeah.
or Clive Barker?
Stephen King.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Stephen King, the first book he ever read, or the first book I got with my library card was Cujo. And I just absorbed everything from there on. I just did, and I just know I just whether or not became sort of institutionalized to his writing style. Maybe that's one way of putting it, but it was King all the way for me. Yeah, even right from his early stuff to the stuff he puts out now. Very few misses for me as far as King is concerned.
Yeah, I think overall, like I read everything that he's released now. I went on a mission a few
Yeah,
years ago, and they were in the grand scheme of his entire works, like hardly anything really that I was like,
yeah,
really
yeah.
enjoyed most.
Well,
Um,
one I've missed out was Rose Madder. So I've recently read that, and it was the jury was out for a lot of people on that one.
mm,
But I actually really enjoyed it. The ending was a little bit sort of not my favorite, but I still enjoyed his writing style. I don't know what there's something about it. When you grow up reading it, you come back to it. It's like Home to Roost, that familiarity. There's a certain
yeah,
comfort factor it offers as well.
yeah.
And once you're in line with someone, it's almost a partnership for life to some extent. But yeah,
Yeah, I love Stephen King. I have only recently started reading Clive Barker though, and I am annoyed that I've taken this long to get to Clive Barker because he's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Look, he's a very good writer. I've read two of his books. Um, I can't remember which ones I've read now, but I don't know. It's I think a lot of maybe timing as well, where you are in life, like
yeah,
dictated by mood. So maybe if I picked one up now, it might have a different impact altogether. So but so many authors out there. It's like you know,
yeah. I know there's lots of people to. It makes me feel sad that I will never be able to read all the books I want before I
I
shut
know.
the mortal coil.
I know, I know. You do feel like that, doesn't it? It's sort of like it's got hallucination mortality, I guess, to some extent. But yeah, I mean, but I don't just read horror. I like to read a lot of like dramatizations, comedy, and stuff like that. I recently, um, one of my favorite films is Glengarry Glen Ross, the David Mamet play. So I recently bought the sort of screenplay version of that. I love that. That's my favorite movie ever, and the dialogue is just super sharp. I just love that. So I tried to experimenting with a lot of other different genres and so forth. And this Reformer Changing the Dragon was a bit of a change for me, writing from horror, multi-genre, and you know, I'm actually contemplating very heavily that my next book will be a rom-com, believe it or not.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's especially if you're someone who writes, it is good to read like widely rather than just
Yeah,
in your usual
definitely.
genre.
Yeah.
Because the other genres have got lots of like cool things going on, like lots of things you can
Mm.
learn.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too as well. But I've just got this bug in my head of writing about a guy struggling to find his partner. It's again like Reformer has got so many issues. But I just want to make it a bit of a sort of comedy tragedy.
mhm.
Just about this guy struggling, just trying to find love. I think it could be sort of darkly hilarious, and I'm sort of I don't know, I don't know whether to do it or not. I'm in two minds, whether to just go back to my comfort zone and write another horror or try this. Um, but being perfectly candid, I'm at this stage now where I've got a book coming out with Wicked House in February 2025 called The Sound of Suffering, and that's the most serious book I've written so far.
Mhm.
It's still got little tidbits of comedy in the dialogue, but it's a very dark sort of psychological thriller.
Mhm.
I'm finishing my third novel, the first draft should be finished in a month or so. That's at 50,000 words at the moment. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm at that stage now where I feel I need some more help in my career. I can't just sit in this pool putting out stuff and maybe getting 60, 200, 400 reviews. That sounds horrible, because I know when I first started, I would have cut my arm off just to get that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but now I feel like I need some help. Just yeah, I need some help propelling to the next level. I don't know. Like I'm so wet behind the ears still in this industry. I don't know, but I just think maybe an agent could help me that. And I think if I just shifted from horror, that is something completely out the ball game, sort of reset, send it to an agent. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so undecided, really, as you can tell.
Yeah, well, you don't have to make all these decisions immediately. So like like you'd flex your writing muscles and see like where you want to.
Like exactly. I mean, the only thing I'm thinking now is I'm 50 now, so while I feel 20, I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time now. So I just want to make sure that I've made a few bad decisions already in this short career. So I just want to make sure that the decisions I make now are going to be, worthy, valuable.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Well, try not to stress too much, because it is never ever too late to achieve something or
true, very true.
Yeah, add more great things to your life. So I'm sure you will. This is my last question.
Okay.
All round. And this is very important.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, what are your thoughts?
What? What?
I don't know.
What? Is he the guy from Twilight?
Yeah.
Are you asking me my thoughts on Robert Pattinson, the actor from Twilight?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking me?
Also the actor from The Lighthouse.
Lighthouse.
Yeah.
The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, he seems all right.
All right then.
He's a good actor.
Oh.
I enjoyed The Lighthouse. That was good. I enjoyed The Lighthouse. That was fun. I don't know what I've got nothing else on him. I mean, we did date for 6 months back in the old days, but he wanted to rush things along, but I wasn't ready, so just had to let him down gently.
Yeah. Cut him loose.
Cut him loose, set him free. If you love someone, set them free.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that's good to know. I really needed to know your thoughts on Robert Pattinson.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay. I just thought. Well, what are your? I'm going to tell this. What are your thoughts?
I have a complicated thought process about Robert Pattinson. I think I didn't really.
I'm not really interested.
All right, then.
Sorry. No, go on. I'm sorry. I'm going to see. Go on.
No, it's not interesting. So let's move on.
Well, in a nutshell,
I think no one in the world hates Twilight more than Robert Pattinson does.
Is that the case?
That amuses me.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating, actually. Yeah, that's fascinating. I watched it all. With my wife. I watched it all. Hated every minute of it, but I watched it because that's the kind of man I am.
Just the sacrifices you make in marriage.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd rather have stuck a fork in my eye, but that wasn't an option. So.
Do you know what I think that question came from? Is because I was working on a big video essay about Twilight, but ContraPoint's just released one, and it's the most in-depth Twilight thing you've ever seen. And I thought, wow,
really,
what is the point? So I just read that that gender swapped one she wrote. She rewrote Twilight, but swapped all the genders in response to people saying it was a damsel in distress sexist story.
Oh, okay.
And
there you go. Well, hopefully I've given you some really in-depth research into Robert, so you can go away and maybe write a thesis of your own. That will basically knock ours out of the water.
Might change my career trajectory, and just
it could do.
pitch a PhD on Robert
Yeah.
Pattinson's.
It seems like an all right guy. That could be the title.
Yeah, seems fine.
Seems all right.
Seems all
Nice
right.
guy.
All
Yeah.
right then. I will let you go now that we've
Okay.
got that clear.
No, I'll let you go.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mark.
Sorry, that's a joke me and my son have all the sorry. Yeah.
Just to remind everyone that Chasing the Dragon is out, available. I will put links in the description and also links to your blog, Mark.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any questions for Mark, put them in the comments and I will, maybe ignore them. Or maybe I'll ask Mark your questions pointed to the comments section.
No questions about Robert Pattinson or our shady past together, though, please.
Only
That's a no-go.
Only questions about Robert Pattinson, everyone. Okay, that's not Robert Pattinson.
You son of a gun.
Maybe we'll be back for part 2 to talk about your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Talking about my love children with Charlize Theron as well, and all sorts. But
yeah, well, that's a whole other other drama, Mark. I heard about that, and I gotta say,
I know. Shame on me.
I'm going to now, so I'm going to release you.
All right, go out and buy Chasing the Dragon, folks. It's unique and extraordinary. This is Towse a guarantee.
It is unique and extraordinary, very funny, and has a lot of heart. On a serious note, I really enjoyed it. It's a really good read. So yes, I'll pop the links there for everyone if you want to check it out. And thank you again for being here, Mark. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Welcome. Yeah, too easy. Yeah, all good.
Right. And
thanks for some great questions.
Oh well, I try.
that unique and extraordinary.
Okay, well, I was trying to follow your lead.
Yeah.
There you go.
Excellent.
All right. Let's see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Now comes the awkward moment.